What is going on, everybody? We are live and back and official. BoogiePod is finally back after all this time. Jake, how long has it been? Has it been like 4 months?
It's been probably 4 or 5 months, yeah.
I was looking at the last video I uploaded, and it was talking about Jim Harbaugh going to the NFL, which is still a topic today.
It's about to
But
happen again.
yeah, but it was like very long time ago. I think it was like the off season. Of like the summer or something like that. So we're gonna try to kick this thing back up. We're gonna try to stay consistent with it and have fun as we got new revamped stuff going on. You know, new thumbnail, new layout, new template, all that good stuff. And we got a pretty jam-packed episode. Is what's a better time to start the Boogie Pod back up than in the NFL playoffs? So that's what we're gonna start with. We're gonna start with the NFL. We're in Week 18. It's the final week of the NFL. We got big, meaningful games this week. Starting off with maybe it's not the biggest game of the week. I think Dolphins Bills is the biggest game of the week, but it's definitely close in Colts versus Texans. It's gonna be Saturday night. It's gonna be prime time. And the person I want to talk about in this game, Jake, is Gardner Minshew. Is this a must-win game for Gardner Minshew's career?
I would say, yeah, I don't know. Must win's kind of dramatic. He needs to win it. I'll just say that because he's not going to be the starter for the Colts next year, regardless if he wins or loses this game. I don't think because they'll want to have Anthony Richardson like coming back and being their starter. But I would say he needs to win. I'm not going to say must win, but I'll just say he needs to win. It would look good for him.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Colts, regardless what he does in this game or in the playoffs. But I think it could mean a lot more for maybe him getting a little bit more money as a backup or being a starter for another team, which is always on the table. And I think if he wins this game, would probably be his future going forward. Would probably be like some kind of trade or something because he's too valuable to be a backup, especially if he makes the playoffs and goes and wins a game. Even if he wins a game in the playoffs, then really it starts getting a little different.
Yeah, I don't know what his contract looks like, but I'd say the Colts will try to keep him. Zay was a great backup because if Anthony Richardson gets hurt, and he might be like a more injury-prone guy. You never know.
Yeah.
Just if he gets hurt, or bring Minshew back in there, you know what you got because he's obviously good enough to get you close to the playoffs or even make it if they win. But
yeah,
I think they'll try to keep him around for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. Especially, I think this game it's not like you said must win for him, but it'll definitely bring some more dollars down the line. What do you think about this game? Who you got, Colts or Texans?
I think the Texans are gonna win. I think I could just see C.J. Stroud making his playoff debut already. I just see that over Minshew. Get back in the playoffs. But I'd rather the Texans win as well. I like to see Stroud play. Who would they play?
They would play like the Bills or the Dolphins, I think.
Yeah, either one of whoever. I'd be good. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like to see Stroud in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I hope the Texans win.
I think the Colts are going to win, but I hope the Texans win. That's where I stand. I think the Colts will win.
I'll take Texans.
Okay.
I'm gonna take Texans.
I would take. Okay. All right, so we're split on the pick there, but I think we'd both be rooting for the same team, as it's a lot better to see C.J. Stroud in the playoffs than Gardner Minshew. I agree with that. All right, so both of the teams that we're about to name, in the Jags and the Buccaneers, have a very, very similar game coming up this week, where the Bucs go to the Panthers, the Jags go to the Titans. Both of them win. They both win their division, and they're both in. Which of these two games is more of a must-win? Is it more of a must-win for the Jags? Or I guess, is there a lot more to lose for the Jags or a lot more to lose for the Bucs?
Oh, there's a whole lot more to lose for the Jaguars, I think. Because if you go back preseason, there was a lot of people saying Jaguars 1-seed talk just because the schedule, which ended up being harder than everyone thought, to be fair. It's not all on them. They've had injury problems. But with a young quarterback like Trevor Lawrence on a rookie deal, you need to get in the playoffs every year. I would bet you the Bucs didn't expect to be in the position they're in right now. I think they just had Baker as like kind of a stopgap QB for the year, and let's play it out. Let's see if we can move on with him, or maybe we'll draft a guy, or both. We'll keep him and draft a guy. But I think the Jags need to get in the playoffs in a year. And the NFL this year is so crazy, and no one really knows who's going to win, I don't think, outside of like if you like the Ravens or the Niners. After that, it could be anybody. You need to get in and give yourself a chance. And with a young quarterback like T-Law, you got to get in. So I think they have a lot more to lose.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely the Jags. I think they were picked to go to the playoffs. I think some people even had them picked as a 1 or 2 seed this year. I think there's definitely a lot more riding, regardless of the excuses I would love to make for my team. I think it don't matter. I think there's a lot more riding in this game, especially when you're playing a team like the Titans. I know the Bucs are playing the Panthers, but it's a rival game. It would look. That adds just a little bit more spark into it. You always want to beat your rivals. And also,
Yeah.
here's a good little tee for you. This would be the first time ever the Jaguars have won the division back to back since being in the AFC South. First time ever.
I wouldn't doubt that.
Yeah, they've never done it. Everyone else in the
doubt that.
division has done it. They've never done it. So that would be very nice for them, and it'd be a good little feather in the cap for Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, considering they just now got there and they were able to do that. So that'd be big, and I agree. There's a lot more now. If we're talking players, which wasn't the question, but I think Baker Mayfield, out of any of the players in these two games, have the most run. He has the potential to be a starter going forward or not be a starter. So can't lose to the Panthers if you're Baker Mayfield, I think.
Yeah,
but
it's true.
Yeah. So all right. Moving on. So we both have our 1 seeds. Like, we already know what the 1 seeds are. They locked it, what, last week? Both of them did? Was it last week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that is the Ravens and the Niners. So which of these two teams, Jake, have the highest chance to make the Super Bowl? If your life on the line, you had to pick one of these two teams to make the Super Bowl, who do you got?
It's the Niners have a higher chance just because their conference is littered with less top-tier quarterback talent. Like, the Ravens are going to have to go through Mahomes most likely and a Josh Allen most likely, both possibly. And then if you're the Niners, the best QB in the NFC this year is Dak. I mean, he's playing very well, but he's no Mahomes. He ain't he probably ain't gonna come out and just single-handedly beat you in the playoffs. It's possible, but it just might not happen. And
Right.
you just got to get through him. Guys like Jalen Hurts, I mean, who's not been very good this year. If he even makes it out of the first round, just like the caliber of quarterback that Brock Purdy will play is a lot less overall than the quarterbacks that Lamar is going to play. So I would say the Niners have a better chance.
Yeah, I also agree with the Niners, but my reason's a little bit more different. I do agree with you that the games you'd have to be playing is a lot less difficult if you were in the 49ers situation. But my biggest thing is we've seen the Ravens get the 1 seed, and we've seen them lose right off the bat to a team that's nowhere near as going to be as good as the team they're going to be playing. That Titans team that they played and lost to is a lot worse than any of the other teams in the wild card, or that they could be playing outside of maybe one maybe team, considering if they got in or not, would be the only other team I think of. So I think that there's a lot riding on the Ravens this year. I think there's a lot of pressure.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very curious to see how it works out for them. I would actually, we'll do our Super Bowl picks next week and all that good stuff. But I have no confidence in the Ravens right now, and I'm very interested to see what you got going forward. But I definitely think the Niners have a higher chance.
Yeah, to build off your point there, that is a good point. I agree with you on a lot of that. I saw a clip today saying that Dak's legacy is on the line today, or not today, but the playoffs.
Right.
I agree, dude. But Lamar, in my opinion, is by far under the most pressure of any player on both sides of the league.
I agree.
If he don't win it this year, dude, with this team, will he ever win it? And his playoff career has been pretty bad overall. He's not been like a playoff star at all. He doesn't even have that much experience in the playoffs for being a guy that might win a second MVP in his not very long career. So I think if he loses in the first round of this, dude, I better hear some bad things coming from people because there ain't no excuse.
Yeah.
There's no excuse this year. He's got it or he ain't. And he's under a lot of pressure. Lots of pressure.
Yeah. I think out of any quarterback in the playoffs that make it, I think Lamar will have the most pressure on him out of anyone. I think out of anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, second would maybe be Brock Purdy just because, if he plays a good team and gets exposed, but I really think it's Lamar. In a sense to, people that know ball. All right, moving on. So, Dolphins versus Bills is probably, in my opinion, is the game of the week. I think it is game of the week. It's Sunday night. It's prime time. It's here. And who do you have and why?
I'm going to take the Bills. And I think it's going to bode well we'll talk about Super Bowl crappy, like you said, later on.
Yeah.
But I think if the Bills win this game, it puts them in a spot to make a big run again because this is probably their worst team they've had the past few years. And they're still knocking on the door of an AFC East title, I think they're going to win, and my reason is the Dolphins are getting beat up. They're getting injured. They've lost their best pass rusher. Xavier Howard might not play again in the DB room. Tyreek Hill still hurt. He'll probably play, but he's not 100%. I think the Bills are going to go in there and shock them and steal it from them. I think I like a Josh Allen to put together a good game because he's a hit or miss type of player this year. You're either going to get good Josh Allen or bad Josh Allen. I think you'll get good Josh Allen against the Dolphins.
I have no idea who I'm going to pick. Since you took the Bills, I'll take the Dolphins. But I got it 50-50 that it's no joke. I'll
Yeah.
take the Dolphins, though.
Yeah.
Here is my thing about this game. Okay? If Josh Allen, if the Bills do not win this game, but Josh Allen plays really, really good, I personally, I don't know what other people think, but I'm going to start throwing Josh Allen in the exact same category with Justin Herbert as he needs to get out of there. He needs to leave.
Oh, okay.
Needs to leave. Not
Yeah.
loser yet. I already have Josh Allen as a loser.
Okay.
Forget about that crap. I already have him as a loser. Yeah, that's already set in stone. Josh Allen's a loser. If he loses this, it'll just be like proving the point. Because I don't have Tua as a winner or a loser yet. Because if he loses this game, might get a little interesting. But Josh Allen, I will put him in the same category as Justin Herbert, as they need to get out of their situation they're in. I think Josh Allen. No one talks about this when they talk about Josh Allen. They always talk about his turnovers and all that good stuff, and they'll talk about the coach. I think Bill's coach is a little overrated on that side, but they will never talk about whether Josh Allen needs to leave. That'll be the first thing they always bring up about Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert's in a lot worse situation. I get that, but I am here for Josh Allen to leave the Bills, and I know he's a big contract and all that good stuff. I don't know when that runs out, but if I'm him and the Bills team don't start showing difference, as long as he keeps playing good, then I think it's time for him to scooch on out of there. Would be my take.
Yeah. I don't think he'll ever leave the Bills unless it would have to get so bad, because I think their roster's still okay. But I think the head coach is going to have to change. You mentioned him. I think he's probably the root of the problem. I don't think their roster was built up for as long-term success as they thought. Because I think the GM of that team thought they were going to be really, really good for the next few years, and I think they're not really, really good so far this year. I wouldn't say that they're underachieving, I guess we would say, because their record's still good. They're fighting for their division. I mean, the 2 seed. So it's they're fine. It's just you watch them play and you're not very impressed. I feel like sometimes outside of Josh Allen, they'll either carry him to a win, or if he's not doing it, they'll usually kind of lose, or they just, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. There's always something with them every week. It seems like they can't put it all together for 1 week. It seems like
inconsistency.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's on the head coach, and some of that's on Josh Allen's turnover, a little issue, because he has a bit of a problem. But you're not ever going to hear me sit here and freak out about picks very much, because I mean it matters, but only to a certain degree. I'm not going to freak out about it. I wouldn't even call it an issue yet. It's just kind of a thing. He's just throwing picks right now.
If you,
they need to just.
Go
ahead.
I was just going to say that if you make up for it with touchdown passes, then I don't think picks are that big of a deal. If that's just you slinging out the ball. Now, if you have 3 picks and 1 touchdown pass, that's a problem.
Ooh.
That's a problem. You can't. Your picks can't be the reason you're losing the game. That's the way I take it. If your picks don't affect you winning or losing, then throw them, man. Shoot, air the ball out. You can't be scared.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Brett Favre wouldn't survive today's media if he played today.
Yeah.
I mean, my Lord, the dude threw 2 picks a game. Was great. Great player. But he threw a lot of picks, and that's just now it's just kind of it's what people care about right now is the picks. But I get why it's easy to talk about, but I think he'll be all right. I think Josh will be all right.
All right, so let's move on. You're going to list your top 10 teams. I'm going to judge you based off of it, what I like, what I don't like, what I would change. Then I'm going to do the top 10 quarterbacks currently in the league, and then you're going to change what you don't like about it and judge me and all that good stuff. So you can go ahead and start with your top 10 teams.
Okay. All right. So top 10 teams going into the last week of the season. Number 10, I have the Rams.
Okay.
I know they just struggled against the Giants. Everyone's talking about how hot they are. Dallas don't want to play them, but their offense has caught fire, but they still have some problems. But I think Matt Stafford, being an experienced playoff quarterback now with a Super Bowl ring, going into this last bit of the season, into the playoffs, I kind of like their odds, as long as hopefully they don't have to play Dallas. But regardless, I like them at 10. 9, I have the Eagles. Eagles are a very strange team. Talk about a team with coaching problems. They're pretty much a super team, but they probably got some of the worst coaches in the league on that roster right now. I've never liked the head coach. If you watch this podcast, we talked about, I'm not a Nick Sirianni guy. I think he's complete trash. The defensive coordinator's bad. Offensive coordinator's really bad. And Eagles fans would agree, I think. They might not agree about Sirianni, but I think they'd agree about the coordinators. They're both really bad. They lost them both their good ones last year. But their roster is still good. And Jalen Hurts, a little bit of turnover issues this year, but he's still scoring lots of touchdowns. Can't say that about him. He's scoring a lot, but they're kind of like the Bills, where they've kind of lost that continuity week by week. You don't know what you're going to get with the Eagles anymore. Like last year, you knew exactly what you get every week. They're just really good every week. This year, not so much. But they're still top 10 because their roster's good. 8, I have the Browns, who I've been on their roster for a few years. I think they've been good for a while. They just got Joe Flacco out there. I like him slinging the ball around, but I think if they lose, it'll be because the wheels kind of fall off with him, sadly. And I'd like him to make a run. I'd love to see him play the Ravens. At Ravens, that's must-see TV right there because I think he could beat them. But, yeah, I like the Browns roster. Amari Cooper being the wide receiver one's worked out. They yoinked him from Dallas. It turned out well. 7, I've got the Chiefs. I'm giving them benefit of the doubt because the quarterback. That's my only reasoning. I think Mahomes has kind of, for his standards, had a down year. But if you watch his receivers play, you're like, oh, that's easy fix for next year. Just go get you some wide receivers. You'll be fine again.
Yeah.
But in a playoff game, I still like him just because Mahomes. He's the best player in the league by like a margin, especially out of all the quarterbacks. He's like by far the best. But the team's been weird this year. Play calling's been weird, but I think it's just because of wide receivers. In number 6, I have the Lions. They just lost a very controversial game to Dallas this past Saturday. I like the Lions. I think they have a great wide receiver group. I like Laporta, the tight end, a lot. I love their running back room. They got a lot of firepower on that team. And one of those teams in the playoffs, you don't want to see it. That Jared Goff gets hot, they're going to go on a run. And I think Hutchinson's coming around to being a really good pass rusher. They got a young core. They got a good future. That's why I got them at 6. 5, I got the Dolphins. I kind of didn't know where to put them because I think their injuries are going to really be what ends their year. I think they've had a good year. They've talked about them all year, not be able to beat good teams. But regardless if that's true or not, they have a lot of talent on the team. Jalen Ramsey's doing a lot for them now that he's healthy again. But I just think we're losing Bradley Chubb. I might have had them higher if they were healthier, but I guess I could have put them lower. So I kind of got them in the middle. But I still think they're a really good team. 4, we got Dallas. Dak, everyone talks about it all the time. Playing a good ball right now. CeeDee Lamb's top 2 or 3 wide receiver in the league this year. Micah's having another good year. Just Dallas has got it. It's just I think theirs is a coaching problem as well to a certain extent. I think McCarthy's going to have to come out with some good game plans for the playoffs and make it work, or his job's on the line. Here's my hot take out of everybody.
Okay.
3, I got the Bills. Okay,
Whoa.
They're probably too high.
Whoa.
But I think you could get on me about this one. They're probably too high. They're weird, though. I'm telling you, it would not surprise me if they walk into the playoffs and smoke everybody. Or it wouldn't surprise me if they lose the first round they play. They're weird. They're a week-by-week team. I think because Josh Allen is their main focal point. If he plays well, they're really good. If he plays bad, they have no chance of winning. And like we were just talking about, it's not been a week-by-week thing. It's very random, almost. They kind of just roll the dice on the week, and that might be some coaching issues. But this is my hot take. I have them at 3. I think I could just see them stringing it together. I really could make an AFC Championship game, or I could see them losing to the Colts or somebody, whoever they'll play, the Texans or something. But, yeah, it's my hot take. 2, I got the Niners. There's probably a gap after the Bills, really. Niners are great. I think they're another health-dependent team. McCaffrey kind of got a calf injury, so he needs to just heal up. He's like their MVP, I think. If he is going, then the whole team's going. Wherever they want. They get the Super Bowl or whatever. It just don't let Brock Purdy poop down his leg in the playoffs. That's what everyone wants to see. I think that's the one thing that could beat him is that he just loses it, dude, in the playoffs. But their roster is great. I think they're by far the best roster of the NFC. Anyone that loses to them, they're just not as good as them. That's all you could say. There'll be reasons you lose to them, but it's just because they're better at the bottom line. So, and the one team they've gotten smoked by this year is number 1, the Ravens. They're the most impressive team. This better be Lamar's year. If you're a Lamar guy, you're going to have to hear a lot of grief from people. They've smoked the Niners. What can I say at their place? I mean, they got to be the best team. Best resume. They're like 13-3. They could go 14-3. That's really good record, but they're sitting everybody, so they might not. But yeah, they're my best team right now.
All right, so I enjoy your list for the most part. I think you're pretty spot on overall, especially with top 2. I think those are the easiest ones to pick, and I think you definitely hit those. So my 2 complaints, and one of them is like a half a complaint. It's not even really that big of a deal. Is at 10 you have the Rams. I'm completely okay with that. I think there's some other teams you could have threw in there. I think there's a lot of teams right there. I don't know if the Rams is who I would have went with, but I'm completely okay with you going with the Rams. I don't have a problem with that. That's kind of like my half diss on the 10. Obviously, the Bills. Yeah, you open that one up for me to hit on, and I'm going to hit on it. I would have the Bills probably 7 or 8 below the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs got to be above the Bills right now. I think that's your telltale. I think where you have the Chiefs, the Bills got to follow, be behind them. Is my sense. That's where I would have the top 10 teams. I think you might be a week late though. I think if the Bills win, I would be completely okay if you put them that high. You had them 4?
3. I had them 3.
You had them above Dallas.
I did slightly. They just killed Dallas. They were that Bills, but they just. I mean, I'm not trying to go by the who beat who because there's probably not continuity there because the Dolphins just beat Dallas, but I have Dallas ahead of them. So that's not the only reason they're ahead.
Right. But, I mean, I get that, but I also okay. I see what you're saying. I get it. All right.
I mean, the Bills beat the Chiefs earlier this year at Chiefs.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
They did.
I got you. Okay.
A lot of teams have beaten the Chiefs this year. But.
Okay.
Yeah, they are probably a little high, but I don't know. They're just a weird team. I think they're really my hot pick to go far this year. If they beat the Dolphins, if they lose the Dolphins, I think they'll lose early. If they beat the Dolphins, get the 2, so I think they'll go far. That's my whole thing.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to my top 10 quarterbacks. Now, I got to preface this, okay? This is not a career top 10 list, right? If that was the case, then Mahomes would be 1, no doubt, right? That's not what it's about. I think Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, right? But this is currently right now going into this week top 10. That's a big difference. Need everybody to understand that before we do this. Okay? All right. Okay, going in. Number 10, I have Jordan Love. I got Jordan Love. I got the young guy at 10. He's been slinging it, all right, week in, week out, and he is up there at number 10. So I got number 10. Okay. Also, this is a big deal for this list. If you're injured at all, if you did not play the week prior, over whatever reason, you're not in this list. So it don't matter if you're out for 1 week. It don't matter if you're out for the season. You're not going to be in this list. Okay, that's also important. You had to start last week and finish out the game. All right, at number 9, I have Baker Mayfield playing for a contract. He's been great this year. He did struggle his last game a little bit. He was up and down last game. There was a lot of drops in that game for the Buccaneers. But I expect him full well to beat the Panthers. And I expect Baker Mayfield to be in the playoffs. And I got him as number 9. Number 8, our boy's back. The Golden Boy League right now, C.J. Stroud. I have C.J. Stroud here. He is back. And he's been great all year. Probably one of the better rookie seasons that I've seen with my eyes. I haven't been watching NFL all that long. So, very, very impressive what he's been able to do and completely turn that team around. Very curious if what we'll see out of him next year. Consistency is going to be his biggest thing. He needs to keep with it. Number 7, I got the most underrated player in all of NFL, Matthew Stafford. Okay, people forget about this guy because he's old, but he's still good. The talent hasn't left him yet, and I don't know where the Rams are at. Are they in the verge of being in the playoffs? Are they in or?
Yeah, they're probably gonna get in. They're pretty much
okay.
In. Yeah.
So can't wait. Don't. No one wants to play Matthew Stafford in the playoffs. I'm going to tell everyone that right now. Nobody wants to play Matthew Stafford in the playoffs. All right. Moving in, I got 6, Joe Flacco. I got Joe Flacco way up there. Since he's came back, he has been awesome. Now you give the Browns a top 10 quarterback currently right now, in my opinion. They've been a great team. And I can tell you right now, because if my Jags win against Titans, that's who they're playing, I'm not going to be happy playing that game. So I'm going to be, and I can tell you a team who definitely doesn't want to play them, and that's the Ravens. So
yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, definitely don't want to see them.
That's not good.
So Joe Flacco could play the Jags, who he has a better team than, and go play the Ravens, who are going to be shaking their boots to play him. If he wins both of those games, Joe Flacco found himself an AFC championship. So, high on Joe Flacco right now. At 5, this is where you got to remember where the list comes in. At 5, I got Patrick Mahomes. He hasn't been his best this year. He doesn't have a lot of talent around him right now currently. The only thing I will say that he does have, who's having a down year, is Travis Kelce. A lot of drops.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't think Andy Reid's been his best this year as well. Don't think Andy Reid's been his best this year. A lot of things around Patrick Mahomes are going bad, but and sometimes when this happens, we've seen quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes do really good, and he hasn't made up for that. Still, still in top 5. So say it as you want. I still got him as number 5 right now. Number 4, I have Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy way up there. I think Brock Purdy's underrated. If you would have asked me 4 months ago what I thought Brock Purdy, I would have thought you a system quarterback. I still think he's a system quarterback, but I think he's a great system quarterback. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that you could put with the Niners right now that would not be doing what Brock Purdy's doing. I think there's credit to give Brock Purdy, and I'm tired of not seeing it. So I think Brock Purdy deserves some deserves some credit. All right, number 3, I got Tua. I got Tua at 3. Tua's been great all year. I think people completely threw him out of the MVP conversation way too early. Way too early. I got a hot take about the MVP conversation, by the way, coming up. But yeah, I think Tua's been great all year. I think also what doesn't make too much sense either is, you'll have somebody who'll have Brock Purdy really far down because of a system quarterback, but then they'll have Tua way up. And I'm like, well, I would argue with you that Tua is also a system quarterback, but a great one as well. So I got Tua at 3. At 2, I got Lamar Jackson. I know, a little bit, not a hot take, but like it's there for some people. Okay, Lamar Jackson at 2. Again, been great all year. Front runner for MVP odds, all that good stuff. He's been great. I mean, there ain't much to say about Lamar. Staying healthy. He's always been good when he's healthy for the most part. And still good. I just can't wait to see what he does in the playoffs. That's where I'll really take the step with Lamar in a career top 10 list kind of deal. At number 1, I have Dakota Prescott. I got Dak Prescott. I think he's been the best quarterback all year. And I think, and I'm not a Cowboys fan. Okay? But I also don't hate the Cowboys. Okay? I think if you don't think Dak Prescott's been the best quarterback all year, then your answer better be Lamar Jackson. And if it's not that, then you are a complete hater on Dak Prescott. If you don't have him 1 or 2, you are purposely hating on him. Because stats say he's 1. The way he's performed this year has been 1. He's been great. All right? So that's why I have Dak Prescott at 1. And my hot take about the MVP conversation real quick before you criticize my top 10 is I think Dak Prescott deserves MVP, not Lamar Jackson. That is my take.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. I almost agree with you. Yeah, I like that list. That's probably one of your best ones. I don't know if I really have much to critique. I like Jordan Love being there at 10. Sneakily, I think he's like top 5 this year in total touchdowns for quarterbacks. No one really talking about it if you count everything rushing and passing.
Yeah.
Having like a sneaky little year. Considering it's his first year as a starter and he might make the playoffs. I like Jordan Love for the future. I like that at 10. I really don't know what I'd change.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, how do you feel about Josh Allen? He's not there. He was there last. He was there last week. I took him out.
He didn't have a good game. I know.
I took him and Jared Goff out.
Jared Goff didn't have a good game either.
No,
he won still though. But I would somehow. I don't know. It's a pretty crowded list because I don't know how I could knock any of these guys away. Because Josh Allen, I mean, he did have a bad game. And I know the way your list works. It does make sense the way that
Yeah.
Look what your criteria is. He probably shouldn't be there, so I really can't complain. I mean, he obviously is a top 10 quarterback, but he's one of those guys.
Yeah,
the whole Bills team, it's not a week by week thing.
Yeah.
Like Josh Allen this weekend might throw 4 touchdown passes, and then last weekend he threw like probably 1 or 0. He just I don't know how many he threw, but it wasn't good. I'm not gonna really critique anything. I like Lamar too. I like Dak statistically has been better than Lamar, actually quite a bit better passing wise. If you just count everything, I mean Lamar could have an argument because he's a good rusher, but I'm not going to complain.
Yeah,
I'm going to leave it.
I think that if I was going don't get me wrong, if I was doing like a career top 10, like an off-season top 10 quarterbacks, I guess, Josh Allen would be top 5 for sure. I would have him up there. He's been good his whole career. It's just currently right now the inconsistency from him all year stops me from getting him in that top 10. All right, so we got some comments. Jeremy Slush says, Joe getting another ring this year. If this is a week-to-week, Joe should be the one. Browns didn't have him do anything after the half. Let's see what Dak does against Lights, Ravens, or Browns. So I guess he's talking about Joe Flacco. Yeah. Okay, so...
Yeah, I would assume.
Yeah, okay. Because for some reason I read that...
We're big Flacco supporters in here.
Yeah. We're
big Flacco guy.
Yeah, we think Flacco's there. A ring... could be interesting. I don't know if Flacco's getting him a ring, but we support Flacco.
That'd be awesome, though. That'd be awesome.
you would
like 2 rings. He might go in the Hall of Fame. He'd sneak in there maybe if they locked him out.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, they like having 2 rings to get in the Hall of Fame with quarterbacks. It's a big one. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I like Joe. I like Joe.
Yeah,
I like he's gunslinger. That's what I like.
He's the gunslinger. Yeah, I don't know about 1 though. He said he should be 1 if we were doing it week by week.
No,
he wasn't here for most of the week. or for
He
most
ain't
of the
played
year.
enough.
I mean, so
Yeah.
and then
He played the whole year, maybe.
yeah. And then he said that let's see how Dak does against the Ravens or the Browns. So he's high on the Browns. He's high on the Browns. He
Yeah,
has the
Browns
Browns
are a
up
good
there
team.
with
I like the Browns.
like Ravens and other teams. Yeah, and Dallas hasn't played
Yeah.
the Ravens this year, have
No, they play him next year, but maybe in the Super Bowl. That's our hope.
they? Yeah,
Hope.
might see
Playing in the
that.
Super Bowl, he probably get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
So okay, wait, hold on. I got. Oh, it says a good D like Ravens or Browns. Okay, like a good defense. Okay,
Oh yeah,
Dak's
that's
done
true.
pretty
He
good
does a little
against
bit.
good defenses this year when he plays them for the most part.
Yeah, the Niners game. People, if you can forget that game, yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, most quarterbacks
that
don't have
wasn't
good
good.
games against the Niners.
That's true.
You could
Lamar
argue
did.
Lamar did, right? But I would
He
still take
did.
Dak. All right. Well, let's move on. We're now going to move into college football. Michael Penix semifinals lit them up, son. Had a great game, probably his best game of the year. He played awesome. Is Michael Penix now a top 3 quarterback prospect going into the NFL draft? Because you would have Caleb
Probably.
Williams, Drake May. Who's your third?
Yeah, it could be Jaden Daniels or it could be JJ McCarthy. I wouldn't ever dare say that because I'm not a very big JJ McCarthy fan. So yeah, he's probably 3 for me. I'd put him. I just think as a thrower, he's definitely top 3. He's right behind May and Williams as just a pure thrower. He's better, and he reminds. I know he's a lefty and all that, but he does remind me of Tua. And if he can play like Tua, that's a pretty good little quarterback.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah. I think
you get him on a team with some players. I mean, he'll be a good player to stay healthy.
Yeah,
I'd have him at 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw him in at. It's real close between him and Jaden Daniels, I think, but I'm gonna put him in at 3.
Yeah.
Just because the thrower of the football, I think, matters more in the NFL than the necessary running game. Yeah, I got Michael Penix at 3 right now. As long as he don't have a complete disaster in the national championship game. So I do have him at 3, but it's close. It's close.
Yeah, I don't.
His
know if
age is a
Penix is going to
problem.
be a guy that Yeah, I don't. Yeah, he's a little old, but I didn't realize he had like 4 season-ending injuries.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. He's like a weird, like crazy story. They might
Yeah.
make a movie about his career one day. Like he gets hurt every year and comes back,
With
making a
Indiana.
national championship now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know if. Yeah, it's true. I don't know if he'll be like a guy that elevates an NFL team, but I think he could be a guy that just like gets plugged in and plays well.
Mhm.
I don't see him being a dude that makes everyone better, which is okay. There's not many that can do that.
Yeah.
At a really high level, but yeah, I like him to get on a team and maybe in the first round. He could be a guy that he could get taken top 10 and it wouldn't surprise me. If he could get taken like near the end of the first round, it wouldn't surprise me. Because like just the way GMs are, they might like him, they might not. Maybe his interviews aren't going well, and he is already older. But yeah, I think he could be a good little player for like a team that wants him, I guess.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, Jeremy Slush has commented again. He says, "Has a quarterback ever win 2 Super Bowls with 2 teams in the same division?"
No, because the only quarterbacks that have won 2 Super Bowls with 2 different teams is Brady and Manning, and they were on different sides for different conferences. Well, no, they weren't. No, Peyton wasn't. He was on the same side, but Brady
Different
was
division.
different conferences. But
So
division. No, I don't think.
off the top of my head, Flacco would be the first one. I think
he would have to be because there's only been a few players that have ever done something like that. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be impressive.
Cool.
All right,
big Flacco guy.
Yeah. All right. Michigan versus Washington national championship. Who wins and why, Jake?
This is probably one of the hardest games I've had to pick in college football in a while. Like big games, I really don't know, dude. I could see either way. I could see Washington somehow blowing them out just because Michigan's offense is so weird. They're just run based, and I'm going to say Michigan. My gut tells I'm not even going to talk about the rest of what I was going to say. I'm just going to say Michigan. I think J.J. McCarthy's good enough to throw the ball in Washington because Washington's defense isn't insane or anything. But I think Blake Corum's going to have him another big game. I think the Russian attack's too much. They could beat you more ways than one. I think Washington's a little pass happy, which I get why because they have like the best wide receiver group in the entire country.
Yeah.
And a really good quarterback and a really good offensive line. So they're just made to throw the ball. But I'm going to take Michigan in a really great national championship game because it's the last 14 when it's pretty fitting. It'll be like the best playoff ever. You know, that they're changing it. I'm gonna go with Michigan. I'm just gonna stick with my gut. I said in preseason, then with them in Georgia, I'm gonna stick with it. I can't change it now. I'm gonna just say Michigan.
Okay, I am gonna say Michigan too, but it's so close. I agree with you. It's so close.
It's a tough pick
because I think this is one of the games though that who's gonna like, you know what kind of game it's going to be, though, by the end of the first quarter. Because, like, if Michigan controls the clock and they run down their throats and J.J. McCarthy takes control of the ball, then I think they're going to take the zap out of, like, Washington. But if Washington comes out there and they're still on fire and they're slinging it and it forces Michigan to sling it, it's going to be interesting. It's going to get good real quick. So get good real quick. I am going to lean Michigan, though. I agree with you. All right, let's move into college basketball. We got some pick'ems here. We got ranked teams. This is just the weekend pick'ems. We're not going into the whole week and everything. We're just going to do the weekends. So Friday, later tonight, I think at like 8 or something, number 9 Illinois plays at number 1 Purdue. Who do you got in that game?
I'll take Purdue. Zach Edey, I think that dude's name is. He's a good player. He put the whooping on Tennessee earlier this year. I'll take Purdue. Purdue.
I also have Purdue. Going into Saturday, my boys, right? So number 8 North Carolina comes to Little John Coliseum at 16 Clemson. I'm ready for it, baby. Bring them on.
Oh, I'm going to take Clemson.
Yeah.
I don't like it just because I think they're less.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big game. That's going to be a nice atmosphere. And it's college basketball is all about where you play.
Yeah.
It really is. So I'm going to take Clemson in a really good game.
I'm rolling with Clemson, too. The only thing that does scare me, though, is they looked very beatable against Miami. That worries me. But I'm going to go Clemson as well, because I think we'll split.
What, did they lose to Miami?
Yeah, we lost Miami.
Okay, yeah.
So, I'm going to see how it goes. We're going to see how it goes, but I'm going with Clemson. All right, number 22, Ole Miss at number 5, Tennessee. We got that one.
I'll take Tennessee. I think they don't want to lose to Ole Miss. A lot of Tennessee people don't like Ole Miss very much. I think that's going to carry over to basketball. And it being at Tennessee in our first, big, I guess, obviously the first big conference game. It's the only one we played. But, I'm just taking Tennessee.
I agree with you. I'm also going to roll with Tennessee. I don't think Ole Miss is all that good. I think they're like a Venge, top 30 team. But I think they're 22 right now because they haven't played much people. So,
they're undefeated, aren't they? I think. They were undefeated last time I saw them.
Yeah, I think they're still undefeated. But I think so.
Yeah, it's not playing.
All right, Jake. To wrap it all up, what's the Jake question of the week? We're bringing it back, baby. Let's hear it.
Right before we got on here, I saw that Ngannou is fighting Anthony Joshua in boxing. It's Ngannou's sophomore fight, they were calling it. Who you got? Because I know who I'm taking in that.
I'm taking Anthony Joshua. I'm not taking.
You're wrong again.
I'm not taking Ngannou. I refuse to take Ngannou. I refuse. Unless they rig it, I'm picking Anthony Joshua.
No.
Yep. Rigged.
I forget you really don't. I don't like Ngannou that much either. But I'm telling you, I have a funny feeling. I'm taking Ngannou early. It's not till March. We might talk about it again just because it's a big fight.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm taking Ngannou to beat him. I am. Anthony Joshua's pretty boy. He ain't tough enough. That's all.
Might be right.
That's what I read about Anthony Joshua.
Might be right.
I would take Ngannou. I would actually take Ngannou to beat Deontay Wilder in the first round if we fought right now. That's a different story, but I would take him the first round to knock him out. But yeah, I'm gonna take him against Anthony Joshua too right now.
Okay, so you're taking Ngannou. I'm taking Anthony Joshua
for now.
So we're for now. Okay, I might change late. I don't know though. I don't like Ngannou, so. We'll see what happens. Yeah. All right, I'll wrap it up for this BoogiePod, guys. We will be back here next Friday, and that's the plan right now. So we're going to try to stay consistent with it and get it going. So we'll see you guys in the